It is before sunrise here, just before, and it is the day of the first anniversary of my sologamy wedding, marriage, and I felt called to talk about some things, to share some things, some feelings, not necessarily thoughts, but feelings. And so things have, I don't want to say changed, but clarified over time in this past year as to why it is I am self-married, solo married. Words and language can be limiting. And so doing the best I can with that in mind, I have my experience as a being who is being partnered with me and I, and the me that is me, the physical form, and I being the higher self, the widest lens, the universe, really, formless, rather love, which is life energy itself. That is the I that I am, without identification. There we go. And so I had previously described my experience in being self-partnered, and I say self because I use the word self relative to ego, identification, the shadow parts that get integrated healthfully. So I originally was self-married, explaining that as honoring my autosexual romantic experience was the elevator pitch for that. And gaining the clarity I have now and the expansion experience that I have gone through, or rather that me has gone through, guided by I feel everyone, most everyone, has the capacity to have a relationship with themselves in high regard, equally, if not further prioritized than relationships with an other. And all of this is a bit illusory in that we are all we are all expressions of unity consciousness anyway. So everyone is part of the everything and everyone. That's it. I feel everyone has the capacity to experience what I have previously labeled as autosexual experience and autoromantic experience. And for language clarification as well, of concepts as well, romantic experience is not the same as sexual experience. Romantic experience, though often used incorrectly and intertwined, romantic experience is engaging with the senses, presence, experience, sexuality being purely sexuality in of itself. The two often go together, and to establish intimacy, the two need to go together. And intimacy also being its own term, where that is most often misused. Of example of when was the last time you were intimate with your partner, when really what that that question is trying to aim for is when's the last time you had sex with your partner. But there's a difference between having sex with someone and engaging in a space of intimacy while having sex with someone, having it be an intimate experience of sex. Anywho, I'm sharing this for reasons that I knows, but me doesn't just yet. I may not know until after I'm expired from this form. But the me of this moment wants to share this because I know everyone is capable of that. And because I know, or at least begin to know, just how important that is. I'm not saying I believe everyone has to, go on this like self-love regimen. Everyone within their own timelines. Everyone within their own time. Experiences. Free will. I'm just saying I know what it is like to embody love without condition. I know what that feels like now. I know what that feels like. And I know how impactful it is. And to know that if everyone, or when everyone gets to the place of loving themselves with the understanding that they themselves are an expression of everyone, when we get to this place of collectively doing that, or being in that state of love without condition, everything would be unrecognizable in the best of ways, evolved, and also back to its origins, dialectics in that. Most simply, because it all starts within us. Within is without, as within, so without. By pouring into your own goblet, holding yourself up high, not in the sense of superiority, in the sense of understanding that you are just as important as everyone else, and by you I mean the me that is you, physical form, and the I that I am, which is our collective consciousness and your own higher self. Holding yourself up high, holding you, me and I, that is you, up high, and pouring into that so that it overflows to everybody else sustainably. That is the only true loving way. That is the structure of love. The only structure of love is pouring within your own goblet, letting it overflow without condition. You have to be without condition within yourself for that to be sustained. Reaching that place within my being, I can see that very clearly for what that all is. Outside of stigma, whether that's the false threat of loving yourself too much is a bad thing. Narcissism is a harmful thing. Not necessarily bad right now because it moves empaths into positions of wounded healer positions, which we really need right now. So it's serving in its terrible state. The darkness serves to bring contrast to the light. That said, loving, true love without condition is never actually a threat. It may feel threatening to the ego, threatening to what the ego has tried to adopt as its own as conditioning, false perceptions, illusory perceptions that self-love is narcissism. It is not. And I have another video where I talked about the difference between narcissism and unconditional self-love, which I now would like to update to love without condition, because unconditional love is that middle process of unconditioning what love was, which is narcissism examples, obligatory family ties, like blood runs thicker sort of BS, manipulations, gaslighting, all that stuff where it's you love them or are loved, you uncondition it and then move into love without condition. I'm tapping into so many different things here, so trusting the alignments, and some things may hit, a lot of things may miss, and if it helps at all, then okay, and even if not, this feels right for me to express today, and that is more than enough. Love can feel like a threat to those who are still embodying their shadow aspects without consciousness and integration of that. Other stigmas of even masturbation is highly stigmatized. And there is a difference, much like intimacy and sex. In my experience, within my own marriage of my complete being, my integrated being, between me and I and the self, no longer a third party that is trying to mess with my marriage. We have a nice civil relation. There is a difference between masturbation and I'll say sex with oneself. Again, self is a very tricky word for me to use because I associate that with ego and identification. So, difference between masturbation and solo sex, if you will, being that romantic aspect of presence, being with the senses, having it be an intimate experience, and that it is an experience in of itself, not just a reflexive doing. So whether we're talking about masturbation or solo sex with the self, that is highly stigmatized, which that's a whole larger thing as to why that is a conditioned thing. A lot of it having to do with marketing, because sex sells, so pushing people to be away from themselves, insecure with themselves, to where they then seek outwardly sex with other people. But how are you supposed to engage in pleasurable sex with other people when you don't have the familiarity with yourself? And also, in an emotional space, that's just a constant longing, and the within is not there. It's always reaching without, and so you are without, inevitably, because the void, there's nothing there, there's void. If you're not loving yourself, actually loving yourself, holding yourself in that same equal and high regard, then there's nothing for the reaching to have its roots into. There is no internal anchor there. There's no soil for the roots to actually be nurtured and foster and be sustained. Yes, other people can show you examples of how to love yourself, and can provide a sense of nurturing in that. I'm not saying that isn't important, or that isn't the start for some people, and getting a start of those roots. But for that to be sustained, and for that to expand, for that to be limitless, there needs to be the nurturing soil of the self, of the me, of one's own form, and honoring the higher self, honoring the intuitive wisdom, the feelings you get that indicate, I'll say from my experience, the feelings I get that indicate, is this actually serving for me and therefore serving for others? The entwinement of all of these honoring of one's being, is integral. It starts with the individual as an expression and expands rapidly from there without, so that you are not ever without. I now understand why I was called to wrap up videos with my love. So today I am renewing my vows. I've updated them, reprinted them, relaminated them, my little booklet thing. I'll be going and doing a ritual with that today. I have new rings that are more aligned for me at this time. That said, I don't tie myself to rings because form is simply form. I honor it now to be grounded and honor the temple that is the body that I have been so blessed to have. And I'm not a prisoner to that as well. So today I will be doing a ritual with the new rings. And in my vows, I had channeled what is now more aligned words, and tying in at the end of my vows is what the vows really mean now, and what it really meant underneath it all, which is about honoring the complete being that I am, the complete being that is me and I, and integrated self. That altogether, that complete being is love itself. And so I am committing, have been committing myself to embodying love without condition. My love. And so when I say my love, it is not a possessive thing towards myself. It is not a possessive thing towards whoever I say it to. It is the honoring acknowledgement that my love is not solely my love. It is that love without condition that I just so happen, as this individual expression of consciousness, to be embodying now, along with the collective of others who have already done so and continue to do so. So when I say my love, it is the ultimate blessing of wishing the best for myself, for others, and acknowledging the illusory concept of that separation of idea when we are all one anyway, unity. It is transmuting shadow energy, bringing enough clarity in space so that others may feel more at home, or more. I am offering my warmth. I am offering the warmth that is love without condition. It is just the ultimate offering of pure love when I say my love. So going forward, that will be a continuing constant, a continued shared blessing, a continued shared ritual. I could go on. That said, I hear the bird babes at the window. It's time for me to open up the curtains and blinds and feed them their sunflower hearts, and go forward with my rituals today. I already took a nice bath and made like a nice bath tea, and yeah, just doing all the things that are wonderful. All right, so that'll be all for now.